Who could have imagined that Wang Lin, having only just broken through to the early Ascendant stage, would encounter something so bizarre before he even had time to feel any excitement? Continuing from the previous events, the moment Wang Lin swallowed the second Ascendant starseed gifted by Zhou Yi, he immediately sat cross-legged within his immortal cave abode, completely motionless. Time flowed on, and in the blink of an eye, 10 years passed. Within the Heavenly Monster County, Heavenly Monster City had long since been fully rebuilt 10 years ago. The residents who had narrowly escaped catastrophe back then were fortunate to survive. Yet the terror of that time remained unforgettable for the rest of their lives. From afar, the legend of a cultivator named Wang Lin continued to circulate without end. The young man who had once drunk through the night with Wang Lin now stood atop a pavilion in the imperial capital, gazing toward the horizon and murmuring to himself, "Strange 10 years have already passed. That kid has completely vanished, even the 5 ancestor lords joining. Forces to search with divine sense found no trace of him. It seems he has already left this gate of the land of monster spirits." Within the Earth City of the Heavenly Monster County, after the completion of the newly rebuilt city, a majestic estate stood prominently in the eastern quarter. 4 large characters were inscribed upon its plaque: Earth Deputy Marshal's residence. At this moment, a burly man clad in a marshal's robe stared into the distant sky and sighed softly. "Brother Wang, where exactly have you gone?" Inside the immortal cave, abode Wang Lin remained seated in meditation. Within the primordial spirit cocoon inside his body, a soul-shaking aura slowly spread outward. After an unknown length of time, cracks suddenly appeared upon the cocoon formed by the primordial spirit, spreading rapidly across its surface. At last the cocoon shattered completely, and a newly born primordial spirit slowly emerged. This primordial spirit was no longer translucent but fully materialized, bearing little difference from a physical body. For an Ascendant stage cultivator, the primordial spirit itself was the Tao intent. This was the true state of Tao intent incarnated within the body. At that very moment, Wang Lin's physical body trembled. For the first time in 10 years, he opened his eyes. Brilliant light flashed within them. After 700 years of cultivation, Wang Lin's cultivation base had finally reached the Ascendant stage. At the same time, deep within the ancient battlefield, an unknown distance from the Heavenly Monster County, stood a towering black pagoda. At the highest level of the black tower rested a suit of armor. Suddenly, 2 streams of eerie light ignited within the helmet. The Ascendant stage has just been achieved. The primordial energy within the body has not yet fully fused. 49 days are required for final stabilization. This period is precisely what I have waited 10 years for. As the voice within the armor faded, a gigantic black vortex abruptly appeared in the sky outside the pagoda. The eerie light on the armor flared intensely as a domineering divine sense swept outward from the tower. Immediately after, black skeletal fragments surged up from beneath the battlefield, rapidly fusing in midair into a massive black skeletal arm. In an instant, the arm flew beneath the vortex and halted. The eerie light on the armor flashed once more, and a gauntlet shot out from the pagoda, hurtling straight toward the skeletal arm. "Go, bring the primordial energy back to me." Elsewhere, just as Wang Lin was about to move, his expression suddenly changed. He looked up toward the sky above the immortal residence, only to see a black vortex appear silently and without warning. From within it, a pitch-black skeletal arm clad in a gauntlet reached out, viciously grabbing toward Wang Lin. Under this single grasp, Wang Lin's figure vanished instantly from where he stood. The skeletal arm paused briefly, then withdrew back into the vortex, which disappeared as well. Within the Fire Monster County, upon a vast open plain, Wang Lin emerged amid a distortion in midair. His expression was gloomy. Anyone who had just successfully reached the Ascendant stage, only to immediately encounter something so strange and ominous, would hardly be in a good mood. However, at this moment, the gigantic vortex suddenly appeared once again. The skeletal arm clad in a gauntlet extended from within it, reaching straight toward Wang Lin. Instantly, Wang Lin felt that his newly formed Ascendant stage primordial spirit seemed to be on the verge of leaving his body. Even his mind was unable to muster the slightest resistance. A cold glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. At this instant, there was no panic in his heart, only an overwhelming slaughter chi. Under this killing intent, the primordial spirit that had already, half detached from his body, forcibly returned. Wang Lin stared coldly at the skeletal arm and said, "No matter who you are, do not provoke me." With that, he took a step backward and vanished from the spot. When he reappeared, he found himself in a desolate land. However, in the distance, he detected the presence of restrictions. He quickly arrived at that location. The restrictions guarding this place were extremely dense, no fewer than several thousand layers. Wang Lin swept them with his divine sense. with his profound understanding of restrictions. These defenses were hardly worth noting. At that very moment, the black vortex once again appeared in the sky nearby. The cold light in Wang Lin's eyes deepened further. This vortex appearing again and again truly irritated him. He let out a cold snort and directly stepped into the restricted area. These restrictions not only served to bar outsiders, but also concealed the area through illusion arts. However, before Wang Lin, who had spent his entire life breaking countless restrictions, he passed through them effortlessly, without triggering a single one. The scene before him was completely different from the outside world. It appeared to be artificially divided tracts of cultivated land. Even more strangely, everything planted here turned out to be ascension fruit. One had to know that ascension fruit was not some precious spiritual herb. Anyone who consumed it would experience an extreme euphoric pleasure, as though drifting toward immortality. Wang Lin had little interest in such a fruit. At this moment, the skeletal arm wearing the gauntlet forcibly shattered the restrictions above and charged straight in. Wang Lin's gaze turned icy as he fixed his eyes on the arm. His right index finger pointed forward as he softly uttered, "Demonizing finger." In an instant, Wang Lin's right index finger seemed to transform into a massive vortex, madly absorbing demonic force from heaven and earth. Almost immediately, a speck of black radiance appeared, his fingertip and shot straight toward the skeleton. Cracking sounds echoed as the skeletal structure collapsed. Seeing this, Wang Lin stepped forward and struck the gauntlet with a palm. The moment his palm made contact with the gauntlet, demonic flames erupted skyward, condensing into a black shadow the size of a fist. As soon as the shadow formed, it opened its mouth and released a piercing roar. Under this demonic sound, the primordial spirit within Wang Lin's body once again showed signs of being pulled out. Wang Lin bit the tip of his tongue. His right hand shot out like lightning, firmly grasping the gauntlet as immortal energy within his body surged violently into it. At the instant his immortal energy poured in, the demonic roar dissipated. However, the black shadow flashed and slipped along Wang Lin's right arm directly into his body. Immediately, waves of demonic qi stirred, forcibly drawing his primordial spirit out from within. Wang Lin lowered his head and glanced at the ascension fruit planted all around. With a sweep of his sleeve, all ascension fruit within 1,000 jang soared into the air. He brought his hands together. Tens of thousands of ascension fruit shattered simultaneously, their juices forcibly extracted and fused together. In the blink of an eye, the essence of countless ascension fruit was violently compressed. Tens of thousands of fruits shattered in midair, their juices forcibly extracted and merged together as if guided by an invisible will. Streams of shimmering liquid converged layer upon layer, until all that remained was a single drop suspended in the air. That drop was a deep crimson radiant and unsettling like freshly spilled blood. Within it surged an intense vitality, mixed with a faint yet seductive aura that seemed capable of stirring even the soul itself. The surrounding air trembled subtly, as though unable to withstand the pressure contained within that tiny droplet. Wang Lin's gaze locked onto the crimson liquid. His expression did not change in the slightest. Without hesitation, without even a moment's pause, he raised his hand and flicked the drop into his mouth. The instant it entered his body, a scorching sensation exploded within him, spreading rapidly through his meridians like a raging tide, surging straight toward his primordial spirit.